Hey everybody, it's Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. I got an easy one, just going to show you how to remove the front wheel on your Piaggio Liberty scooter. Removing the rear is really similar to the Vespa Primavera Sprint. Find past videos on how to do that. But since this has got telescopic force, it's very much like the Beverly 350, BV 350, BV 400, or pretty much any motorcycles or most motorcycles. So you got an axle going through it. A couple other items. We are going to change the brake rotor. That's actually bent. That's why I'm changing it. The tire is still good, but obviously when it comes time to do a tire job, you got to know how to pull the axle. So let's get right to it. I'll show you all the tools needed. Pretty much need a combination wrench. I think 18 and a 19 is what you're going to need. So you don't necessarily need to have two separate ratchets. You can have a combination wrench. But you have the 18, I have that on my left here, and the 19's on my right. Set these up. And we're just going to go ahead and you know what else I noticed is it's got a bent axle on it too, so another problem I got, so we'll put a new axle on this scooter. And the way I know it's bent is I see everything wobbling and it gets tight in one spot. I wasn't anticipating that. You're going to need to support the center of the scooter. I have it here in a lift. And you could do that with one of the scissor jacks. If you look at the Scooter West web store, we have a pretty high quality scissor jack available. This is one I've been using for like 20 years probably at this point. And just get enough of it where the tire is off the ground. And when you got a bent axle, got to get a little medieval on it sometimes. So and if you're going to have more trouble, then maybe you'll use a punch to drive the axle out. This isn't normal if it wasn't a bent axle. Of course, I always pick the worst case scooters to work on. Something that's been wrecked or there we go. Now the tension's taken off it. So at that point, got the axle out of there. And you're going to run into a couple other things here. So both sides have spacers. You can kind of shift it out one side, pull the one spacer out, and then just walk the tire out of the caliper. So, and you have a spacer also on, left and right spacer. I usually keep them organized for, what side they go to. I already know the rotor has run out, and I'm going to show you how to change a rotor. Sometimes these fasteners are very, very tight, so you may need to get heat on them. So T25 Torx Driver, and if you're going to struggle with them, I would just get some heat on them, usually with a small torch. And use a hand tool on all of them just to break them free. You want to put some pressure on them. That's so you're less likely to strip these fasteners out. So there we go. We're looking good. I'm very surprised there's not as much Loctite. One other thing, keep in mind if you have an ABS error, it could be this tone wheel. Sometimes if they're bent or damaged or distorted or they have debris in them, that will cause an error with the ABS system. Lift the rotor right off. And start with a brand new rotor here. And oftentimes the brake rotor is directional. You see this one's has an arrow here and also this black surface right there that kind of differentiates it. Set the tone wheel right in place. When I get your blue Loctite handy, And we'll put a drip on all these fasteners, kind of where the blue was originally. Go ahead and just put a small amount of Loctite on each one of these. And as with any fastener like this, you want to get them all started, preferably by hand. The first couple turns, half turn. And we'll cheat a little bit, use the power ratchet, get them all. And if you're going to torque these fasteners, I would assume they're probably around 7 foot-pounds. I'm just going to give them a little bit with the wrist based on, that's all they'll need. Just nice even torque on all of them. Don't want to over torque them because these small heads on it will strip out. So got a brand new axle. To replace the bent one, you could actually even see that it's a little bit bent. And before you get the rotor back in here, you're going to want to get a big flat blade screwdriver, open up those brake pads. Can make the job a lot easier than trying to, slot that disc right between the pads. So you just get a flat blade screwdriver, give it a little pry, and have your wrenches ready. There's no problem with that nut. Put the spacers back in place. They do have ample amount of grease. If the grease is old or really dirty, you may want to wipe them out. And they just stay in place. There's 2 oil seals that kind of hold them. And we'll see if we get this in. And technically, you probably could lift the scooter a little bit more, so I'm missing the fender, but I think I'll be fine. And if you want to make it a little easier, you can pull that one out. And we'll slot the rotor in. Go ahead and get the other spacer in place. And we'll go ahead and send our axle through once we get everything kind of lined up. Goes through so much nicer than that bent axle. Get the nut on there. And this is a nut that has like it's not like a nylon locking nut, but it's got friction, it's got a distortion to it, so it has a little bit of friction, so it won't back off. And if I recall, it's about 30 foot-pounds, so just not too tight. Something about there. And before you even attempt to ride it, you want to pump that front brake back up, and it's perfect now. So. All right, so there you go. Killed 3 birds with 1 stone. First of all, you'd probably remove the wheel, change a tire, but oh, look what a surprise. I found a bent axle as well as a rotor that I already knew was bent. So hopefully the scooter goes straight down the road. Do keep in mind, sometimes when they're in wrecks, they'll bend the forks as well. But oftentimes I do see bent axles even on, just hitting a curb or something. Hope you enjoyed that video. It helped you out. Until next time, it's Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com here in San Diego, California. If you're looking for a tire for your Piaggio Liberty or any other scooter, Vespa, check us out on the web, ScooterWest.com. And if you're looking for any how-to videos, say you're a new owner of a Liberty, keep in mind this uses the exact same motor, or nearly the same motor as the Vespa Primavera and Sprint 150cc scooter, or the 125 is very similar as well. I have several videos in the past. Just search Vespa Motorsport in YouTube, and you could use the search within our YouTube channel to find all the videos on servicing a Sprint or Primavera, and many of them are applicable to this model as well. The only other difficult part on the scooter is doing the body work, and you can see my other video for that. Till next time, Robot here.